I'm Jay.
I'm Adrian.
And together we are the
Two Crazy Cat Ladies.
I'm gonna cut you.
I think I just peed.
Buckle up.
We're back in the closet.
Welcome to another episode of Back in the Closet with the Two Crazy Cat Ladies. Guys, we are so honored and excited to be joined today by none other than Dr. Amaya Espidola.
All the way from Spain.
And we are going to be talking about sound therapy for cats, which I know so many of you guys are really into. And some of you guys have actually helped us along the way with some of our cats and using music therapy or sound therapy for cats. So I know you guys are going to really enjoy this episode because she's like the expert in this subject. Now, I don't know that many of you, I don't know how long a lot of you have been with us, but like, when was
It's been years.
It's been years, but we used to go live together. We used to do lives on Facebook and stuff together, like podcasts and things like that. So excited to be able to actually meet in real life Dr. Amaya in Spain.
Just like to say that you are a very, very good hugger.
Yes.
Very good.
Yeah, I love hugs. And I was so excited to meet you finally after all these years.
Right?
I know.
Likewise.
I know.
Likewise. So for our audience joining us, maybe listening on the podcast or from our community that might remember you, or for people that don't quite remember you or have never heard of you, could you share a little bit about who you are, your background, why you're just so
changing the world?
Amazing.
Awesome.
Oh, thank you. I'm gonna blush. Well, I would say that I started because I was afraid of cats, and that's what started my journey. And how I decided to, as a vet, I decided to move that and say, okay, I'm gonna face the fear and see what happens. And that became a passion. And I had many adventures along the way, and one of the things was I started working at a cat shelter, and that's what changed everything. Working with the cats, having the time to work with them, being able to practice a little bit of more integrative, holistic views. And once the pandemic hit is when, okay, I said I had to take everything. Velvet already existed at that time, but it was more home and, just for certain clients. And after the pandemic is when I decided to go worldwide and launch the Real Velvet online services with consultation. It's more a second opinion vet where you can get insights on holistic medicine for cats, behavior, nutrition, natural nutrition for sure. And now one of the things that I'm into is neuroscience and sound therapy. And I think I'm not looking back after this.
This is it. This is it.
I love this. I can't wait to pick your brain and on this episode and find out like more about why this is like your passion that you're not turning back from, and like the differences that you've seen using it because you've already been practicing with sound therapy, and it's mind-boggling to me. So when I was in college, I actually wrote a thesis on music therapy for humans.
Wow.
Because I found that like for me, I wasn't thinking about animals at all at that time, but for me, it's still like I listen to music every day, all day long, right? Like it is part of my and it's specific genres depending on my mood, right? Or where, if I'm high anxious, I'm listening to like Kenny G jazz type music, right? And if I'm like just excited and like just want to like pump it up, or like I'm sleepy and I need to wake up, then I'll listen to more like pop and upbeat. I love all kinds of music. But this is super interesting that we're gonna discuss how it affects cats specifically.
I love that you said that you really got into neuroscience and sound therapy. Because you think of like sound therapy as kind of like a woo-woo thing, but you're talking about it from a neuroscience point of view. Can we kind of start there?
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
That's where I want to start actually, because I always believe that I believe in all that woo-woo stuff, right? But I try to be very practical as a vet because you need to make sure that you create steps on how to actually make it work. Otherwise, you can say, just play music and see what happens, okay? But there is a lot of background that I wasn't even aware of. So to understand a little bit why it's important and why I always also challenge most of the behavioral things going around, all the some of the research on behavior, I'm not entirely happy with it because they don't understand the neuroscience behind it. It is that we always talk about the autonomous nervous system, the one that we call the adrenaline, the sympathetic and the parasympathetic branches of that, and that allows us to fight or flight or relax, right? So that's kind of the basics, and that what we understand so far of what the nervous system does. But the thing is that there is a new thing. Well, not new, it's pretty old, but not many people talk about it, is the polyvagal theory, which explains that it's more complex. It's not just about fight or flight. It's not just about relaxing, and once after the stress or the shock happened, you can relax and go directly to the parasympathetic. Right? So what the polyvagal says is that there are different ways for you to, whether to relax or to collapse at the same time with the parasympathetic drive. And let me explain this in normal words because this is kind of complicated. So when you encounter stress or any situation in life, because not always, even that something is not dangerous for you, but it's new, you can stress. Your first reaction is, okay, it's new, so your body reacts to it. And this is how we adapt to the environment. Okay, if we had a beautiful childhood, which I don't know many people who did, but anyway, if your life was really nice and everything was nice, you adapt to your environment. Your nervous system will react to the new things in a more calm way. But if the stress has increased by any trauma or any accidents or anything that happened, then your body will react in a completely different way. So how does this happen is that once you hit the stress, the body would say, okay, what is this? Is this danger? If it's danger, I may react in two different ways, fight or flight, or I may also go to a social engagement and gather with other people to feel safe, or I may collapse and shut down. So suddenly we had at least 3 different ways to react to something that before we only said this 2. So the parasympathetic drive has also the collapse and the play dead kind of way, and the social engagement. So social engagement is explained that if you don't feel safe, you try to go near to the nearest your friends, or just try not to be alone. That's the social engagement. You look for partners, right? Which this is the one we are going to try to explain through voice-based sound therapy, right? You try to give safety to the nervous system by social engagement. Right. So the vagal, the vagus nerve that goes all around from the brain to all in the back, has several branches. So it can affect the heart rate, it can affect lungs, it can affect all larynx, voice, breathing, the ear, everything. Right. And it has it's separated in dorsal and ventral. So it depends on if you collapse or if you go to social engagement, it uses different branches of the same vagus nerves. Okay. So that is how you explain a stress or something that happened, a shock that you had. And that will allow the way you regulate that and the way you move from, because all of them are necessary. Sometimes you need to run, sometimes you need to fight. Sometimes you need the social engagement, and sometimes it's best to play dead. But the thing is, when any of those things aren't regulated, and you maybe switch from relaxing to automatically fight, or the typical thing that I pet the cat and 3 times and then he bites, or the cats that suffer from hyperesthesia, that they may be really loving cats and suddenly they will attack you. So all of this is that they don't have that nervous system regulated. And this is the basic thing that what we are doing with sound therapy. What we're trying is to teach the body with different techniques how to regulate, because the way you perceive the environment is something that it will shape your personality in a way, right? But it's not definitive. So because as beings that we have neuroplasticity, we can always learn. And this is the fascinating part of it. So I hate when they just fixate on the cat is like this, or they always will react that way. No, it's the way they perceive reality. And that's what we have to work on.
So you're saying that sound therapy can actually shift perception?
Yeah, momentarily, of course. But if you practice this, then you can become a safety point for your cat in all different situations.
So it's essentially like, cats, working with a feline behaviorist, it's like, use your words. So we have certain words for this, or positive reinforcement. If we say this word, they know they're going to get a treat. So it's kind of that same association then that they know.
In that case, it's more conditioning. You are conditioning a certain word to a certain, that is more the Pavlov kind of reaction. So I get a treat, I will get a benefit from it. This goes much deeper. This goes to the root of how I feel safe. And this can affect even transitioning a diet. It can go that far.
Wow.
Okay, so start sharing like some practicalities here for us. So maybe we do have a cat with that is really reactive. You pet them 3 times and then they bite, or you want to transition a diet. Like what are some things? What are some of the main things that you've seen are really effective?
Somebody's organizing the closet.
And it's like, hey, yeah, let's talk about this. What are some of these issues that cats may be dealing with that we humans don't realize that sound therapy could really be that breakthrough for us?
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you the story of how I found out, and then I studied all this because it was an accident. Like every single thing that it becomes amazing is an accident. Usually it happens like that. For the people that don't know, I'm also a singer. So I started, and I am a person that it's very driven, very social. You know me now, and I can be very intense sometimes. So if you work with cats that have coming from a shelter, or they are very fearful and they are hiding, and you are the vet that has to microchip them or vaccinate them, or everything just to have the intake protocol for the shelter done and everything done, and everything has to happen in a certain amount of time. Right. At first, I was kind of, okay, how do we do this? We got the towels, we got everything to handle the cat. And one day I remember I walked into the adaptation room and all the cats were like, phew, disappeared. Yeah, I think I went in like very fast and just, very intense. So I said, okay, I understand. I was like, all right, yeah, that was too much for everyone. Let's all calm down. And I started singing an Argentinian song that I really like. And I just sat down facing back to them just to relax. And I was like, okay, let's breathe, let's relax. And I started singing. For me, that's a way to regulate myself, which I didn't know, by the way, but it is now. And I started singing, and one of the cats, there were like 2 little sisters, like Tabby sisters, they were coming, and they started like, like coming around, and one of them just got in on top of my shoulder, and I was like, I couldn't believe it. I was like, don't move, don't do anything. What are we doing that this is working, right? And that was like a surprise. And then I said to the nurse that was working with me, and I said, okay, we have to sing every time we're doing things. And we decided to sing, but I didn't know anything about this. And of course, the handling was much easier. And then we practiced with other vets when we had to take them to the hospital for any reasons. We always like, can we avoid using anesthesia? Because we were, as a shelter and as a vet taking to another vet, you have a little bit more authority. So it was like, don't do any anesthesia. I hold the cat for you. And we managed to handle cats, very traumatized cats, without anesthesia, just by talking to them and working always voice-based and keeping them calm, grounding ourselves, breathing, because we had to keep it calm. And that taught me a lot about how I was able to regulate by singing, which I didn't know at the moment. I didn't understand it the way I do today. And I was able to manage cats much more easy. So imagine if that was placed in every single clinic. Imagine if, well, there are studies in dogs, like you use less anesthesia if you put music. There is there are sounds, for example, well, this is not very happy, but there is one in the wildlife that certain animals react more to human voice than to the predators itself, because they are more afraid of us now than the predators, because of how we are hunting them. And so there is an impact on the voice, on the tone. There are other studies as female voices, it seems to be better for cats than male voices, which is not always true, but there are some studies that will suggest that the voice has an impact. So
I found a study on cats. You remember when we were emailing back and forth, I was like, I wish there was more research around this, but we did find a study talking about the effects of music on behavior and physiological stress response of domestic cats in the veterinarian clinic. And it says
music for cats is.
Yes, and it says exactly what you're saying, that there was a positive benefit on both the handling and the stress levels in cats in vet clinics using music therapy.
And they also analyze the difference between using classical music and music specifically designed for them, which yes. I really like that study, and I really enjoyed the work of David Teie with the music for cats. But classical music can work as well, because what I found out, especially, and then the other story is my cat. He has a hyperesthesia syndrome, and I said he's my other singing teacher. Because when I started singing certain songs that were like, I like Aretha Franklin, I like Janis Joplin. So imagine the tone of what I'm talking about. Right. And he will go and attack my ankle. So he will like try to get near my voice, but to attack me. Right. Okay. And I didn't know what I was doing until when I moved here and I started working more in hotels and singing and using my voice and preparing myself much better. I learned that I regulated better now. And he doesn't do that. Now he actually wants to be on me when I'm singing. Wow. Especially those high-pitched notes. But suddenly he gets overwhelmed and he needs to stop. Because he relaxes a bit, but then he's like, okay, yeah, it's enough. But he started attacking me to this. So the difference, it's huge. And it's amazing, what you can do. And he relaxes now. He likes to be near me when I sing. Or for example, when he moved when I first met him, let's say, he was very frightened as well, and he was afraid of the broom. You couldn't just clean your house, or because he was always afraid. So without knowing, all this was intuition, and I just simply nailed down. I said, okay, come here. And I just became like his shelter every time he was afraid. And I started using my voice. So I have several trials with him. And then I started trying this with my deaf cat. And amazingly, she also reacts.
Really?
So is it vibrational?
Mm-hmm. She has to be closer. That's the only difference. She has to feel my voice closer. But it seems that in humans, it seems that your voice can activate certain parts of the brain, even in deaf people.
Wow.
That is fascinating.
Imagine the potential. I mean, I'm like always, I never understood why certain clinics would say, you have to whisper because we don't want to stress the cat, but you can whisper very nervously, and that won't work.
Well, there's a good question then. So when you first of all, is your cat a fan of Janis Joplin now?
Well, the way I sing it now, yeah, he likes it, but he likes classical songs, and he likes songs that are in C pitch.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I realized that because I started looking at certain songs, and every single song he likes to be on me, it's a C or E minor. No, sorry, A minor. So which is the relative.
Wow.
And I realized that kind of scale has no alterations.
What do you
look,
mean?
it's all when you look at the keyboard, the C scale of C, it's all white. How do you call the white?
White keys. And then
keys,
A minor, all black.
Exactly, keys. It's all white keys, so it's no alteration. So he likes that type of sound. Other cats like different things. It's not always the same. But I realized he starts purring when a song it's in C and A minor. And I found this because one day somebody sent me a song, a tango actually, and it was really, tango is not an easy music. It's very complicated. And it was played by the harmonica, which my cat would run away. And he was actually enjoying it. And I was like, I don't understand. Why are you doing this? And now I started looking, because he's my study guy. I study everything with him, when he gets tired, what type of music he likes. And he doesn't care if it's a high pitch or low pitch. He likes, as long as it's in C, or there is another one. I'm still trying to figure out if E minor also is good for him. But so far, those are.
So then, my next question is, talking about the nervous whisper, right? How important, because we talk to a lot of beautiful people, just like you, other veterinarians as well, that we, call woo-woo, and we talk about energy a lot, and how energetic our cats are, and how important our energy is, because it affects our cats. So how important, so just for all these beautiful people joining us tonight, how, if you were to teach just like the average cat parent, maybe doesn't really have a great voice, but loves to sing. I feel like our cats don't care about that. But might not, I wouldn't know what pitch is what. She's the musician here. I'm like
Jay's actually a very good singer.
Yeah, but I sings really well. I heard her.
I wouldn't know how. I wouldn't know how to be like, I'm going to sing this in E minor or A plus, whatever. Like I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know any of that, right? So how important is it that we, our energy around singing to our cats? How important is that, or is that too broad of a question?
Do you set your energy before you use sound therapy?
Oh, there's
sorry again.
Like, do you set your energy? You're talking about the vet clinic. You sat down, you took a couple deep breaths, and then you started singing. So is that really important? Like for us humans using this in a practical way, should we set our energy before implementing sound therapy?
Yes, and I would say that there is a technical part that it doesn't mean that you have to, because when people say I can't sing, everybody can sing. So it's not something. You will have your voice, and it's unique, and it's nobody has the same voice.
Right.
It's a kind of a something that it's unique, which creates that really nice bond with your cats and with people as well. And there you have their commercial voices, which aren't always regulated or they are a little bit fake at the same time, because they try to post something. So when we relate to that and we say I can't sing because I don't sing like Mariah Carey, yeah, I don't want to sing like her. I want to sing like me, right? This is how my voice is good. And so there is a technical thing that it's the diaphragm. The diaphragm, which is the way we use it to breathe, and we use it to ground and relax. I've noticed that people that aren't relaxed or grounded usually don't know how to use that muscle.
Right.
And especially women, and this is also cultural, we have in our minds that thing that we can't sing. Okay, that's the first thing we get. In our minds, I can't sing. I wasn't allowed to sing. If I speak loudly, people would say things. So there is a lot of judgment, a lot of it. And then we have the cultural side of the corset in the past, that we will breathe from the ribs up, and it will be a shallow breathing. Right. And the shallow breathing only gives a superficial voice. So the tendency for most people, for most women, it's going to be a voice that is so soft like this. And when I get mad, it's going to be very nasal. And I'm going to start screaming here. And here, nobody understands. Nobody's going to listen to you. You're just going to create anxiety to the other person.
It sounds like anxiety.
It does.
And this is the thing. So that's why if you whisper, but you're whispering like this, there is no diaphragm involved. You're just using this part of the body. You're pressing with your abdomen, and there is no movement there. So when the men actually had the opposite, they don't use the diaphragm because they use the belly too much. They tend to, so the diaphragm is always doing like, in the men it's a little bit deeper, but it still is not working properly. So the idea and how you get there is, I like to use visualization as a way to understand. But just imagine you are trying to set the cloth on the table, right? So the diaphragm, it will go like this, right? The only thing you need to feel is confident. That's the only thing you need to be grounded and actually use the diaphragm properly. Because here we are not trying to sing like anyone. So there are more things you can do with the diaphragm. But the first thing is that when you're exhausted with something, you don't want to say, you've been arguing all day. And there's a point where you say, this is enough. This is enough. And then you get, the word has a weight. It weights on your body, and you feel it that fall here. And that's the actual good word you used in all the discussion you had. It's when it has some weight, and when you say no, you feel the no, it goes down to the diaphragm and actually down to the floor. You can feel it weight as much as you want. You don't have to raise your voice, but it's deep, and it has all the colors and sound. Everything in your body will resonate with that no, right? And that is where you have to sing. The air will resonate in different places of your if it's high pitch, it will resonate here, and if it's low pitch, it's going to resonate more here. There's mixed voice as well, but that I don't care about that. We just need to be certain of what you're going to say. So despite that, I love calling my cat, oh, my little cat, and I love you. This doesn't mean anything because it's not connected to anything. But if you say to your cat, and this is something I encourage everyone to do every morning, is say thank you to your cat. Because if you have a sincere thank you, you're going to be using your diaphragm. Okay, so if you wake up and just say, thank you for another day, is there you get that, that weight on the word. If you say, I love you, the same thing, just make sure that you pay more attention to the vowels, because the vowels are the ones that make the sound. The consonants will break the sound. So if I say, I love you, there's no way you just put anything there, right? But if you say, I love you, that O will have some weight.
I love that. And Jay's going to implement this more than me. So for those of us that really, may not want to sing to our cats, right?
Yeah.
We are very curious about sound therapy. I know back in the day, one of the most powerful moments we had was learning that classical music could help calm cats. And we had not really implemented it that much ourselves.
No, we had not really explored it. We had just learned it. And our motto is learn, share, grow. So I did a cat tip, and this is years ago, like I want to say 2018, 2017, something like that. It's a moment I always go back to though. So I had recorded, or I'd posted a cat tip on what we had learned. And I said, if you're one way to help your cats, getting them, to the vet in the car, is to play classical music. And there was like some research study or something that I was citing. And I said, so if you want to, so if you need to get your cat to the vet, or you want to get your cat to the vet, try playing classical music. And then it was, I don't know how long later, we were at a conference, a cat conference, and somebody came up to us and she said, I want to thank you. You guys saved my cat. And we were like, oh, like, that's awesome. What, what we thought maybe she was using our products or something like that. And she said, you posted a cat tip, and you said that classical music helps calm cats so that you can take them to the vet. And because of that, I was able to play classical music, bring my cat to the vet, and we caught his cancer before it spread, before it was too late. And I was like, oh my God, like that was still to this day, I get the chill bumps hearing that, because it's like, it wasn't something, it was literally just something that we learned and that we shared. And it wasn't something that we benefited from or anything like that. It was like, we really helped someone by just sharing information. And that was our moment of like, we're never stopping this ever.
And fast forward to just this year, our Madison Grace was in the ER and had about a pancreatitis. And it's almost like you forget about all the tools in your toolbox when you're going through it. And someone messaged us on Instagram and said, here is this sound therapy for increasing appetite, if you would like to try that with Madison. Because at first she didn't want to eat. And we used it and it worked. And it was like a YouTube video of sound therapy. So is it, what are some of your favorite ways to?
That probably has something to do with when you said it also helps with transitioning diets too, which, because we spoke in Spain about that, that's like our passion subject this year. So is that do you find that certain frequencies of sound helps cats' appetite, or helps them want to eat a new food better?
Well, to answer that question, there are different ways into sound therapy. You have, for example, bioacoustics, which uses natural sounds. They measure the frequencies that nature gives, and they can say that if those frequencies can help different organs in the cat or in humans as well. It can also regulate the circadian cycle. And there are many ways. I know one here she lives in the north of Spain, and she's called Sound and Life, and she travels around the world recording with high quality sound. and she uses as therapy, which is a great tool, especially for clinics if you don't want to be singing, right? And that is, for me, the most scientific I know so far, because then you have other frequencies, like the chakras have certain frequencies, and you can use the chakras with those frequencies as well. And then you have the solfeggio frequencies, and there are different schools with different sort of frequencies, and I played them all, and for me, the chakras, I would say it worked really well. The bioacoustics is amazing. There are some studies, even a cat recovering from a toxicity that they gave him a few days to live, and actually the cat recovered completely from using bioacoustics. And then the voice-based sound therapy, which is the one I like, is the one that led to the lullabies for cats.
Yes, tell me about that.
Yes.
Yeah, and the thing is that when I recorded the lullabies, somebody, instead of singing them, she simply played them to her cat, and the cat wasn't eating as well. And I didn't know. She called me saying, "I can't believe how they worked. My cat wasn't eating, and suddenly I play your tunes, and now she's eating." I was like, "Really? That wasn't the point. I didn't know that could happen." That wasn't okay. We have to investigate. So now I'm into a little bit of research. You can access to the lullabies, and I'll explain in a minute what they are, but you can access to them on Spotify. And if you let me know how they affect your cat, I would love that. I'm doing that research. Send me an email, tell me a story.
And we have the link in the description here. So when we're done, go ahead and click on that, and it will bring you to the lullabies.
Yes. And how they were created, the idea came through the thing is that you can use music therapy as a sound or sound or music. It depends if it has lyrics or not, or if it's a melody, instrumental melody or not. But I've tried them all, and I think they all work perfectly. The music for cats works perfectly, but I wanted to do something where if you had nothing, if you couldn't play music, if you only had the 5 minutes on the hospital visiting your cat, if you only had that moment where the ultrasound is going and you're holding your cat, or even, you use a gabapentin to get it, but then they don't recover really well. I wanted to have something that, as a kid, you want your mom to be with you in difficult situations. In this case, you are the mother, and you can improve, and this can be an enrichment as well in the home.
Oh, I think I just got it for the first time. Like the lullabies part, like I don't know why I didn't connect that before, but that's a great explanation, because it's, like you just said, like, and I remember when I was a kid, when I was, just small, and I was sick or I was scared or something like that, my mom would hold me and she would sing to me and she would rock me. And that would always calm me down, right? I mean, so many of us have, mothers or grandmothers or maybe dads or something like that have done that made you feel safe, that made you feel comfortable. And that you're right. You don't need a radio. You don't need a phone. You don't need, if you're in a vet clinic, you probably aren't going to go, turning on some music anyway. And unless you're us, we did, but to be able to just, or in the car or wherever you are, right? Like to be able to so many of you beautiful people here are rescuers, right? They're trying to rescue cats or trap, trap, neuter, return. And they're trying to, transport cats, or they find cats that are, or they find cats that are injured, and like to be able to, or our own cats, right? When they get sick, to be able to hold them and sing to them a lullaby you don't need anything except for yourself. Wow.
Exactly. And there's another thing. When you're traveling, if you play the music with your phone, or even using Spotify, for example, because Spotify doesn't have the best quality sound. There are others that may use it, but we tend to have lower quality sounds recorded because it's easier to have it on the phone and different devices, and that's it. So those frequencies get lost. So you may get some effect, but imagine if you have a good device that plays that music. So you have to carry a really good headphones or anything that speakers, anything. So it's not always easy to have that at hand, right? And you may get some effect, of course, but the real effect with music and sound therapy is the quality of the sound. And even the YouTube has a lot of beautiful sounds, but they are not well recorded. When you use sound therapy, the bioacoustic sounds, you realize that what you have at home, the YouTube videos are not the best. It's like, oh my God, the difference is huge.
Yeah.
So here you go. Huh?
A lot of people, I don't know if Sally's here tonight or not, but a lot of people are just like, they love to go to concerts. They love to, they prefer, versus listening to music on the radio or Alexa or something, right? They prefer to hear live music in person because of that, because the music is so much better. The sounds are so much better when it's right there in person versus on the screen or on a radio or on a phone.
Exactly. And we don't look at really good sound now. It's like we like the tune, we like the music, and we don't care. But the cats are very sensitive to that. So the idea of the lullabies was through the science of lullabies for humans. It was I rocking my baby, I'm just making feel it better, and all the research doesn't say in any ways that you have to be a singer or that you have to sing well. You can even just do humming if you don't want to sing. The important thing is that you use that relaxed, and the breathing comes from here and not superficial, that you take a few breaths before you do this, and you are not trying to calm your cat while you're very anxious, right? Because it's not going to work. And you have to release all expectations from, sometimes they will react and sometimes they don't need it. And that's okay. Yeah. But you need to do it very often. And the idea was that my songs, the lullabies, have a scientific, there's a lot of a scientific background. It's because they are not just songs. They're usually very simple songs that have a repetition. They have a very round melody. Mm-hmm. And the words that are used are very loving and happy. Yes. And respectful and thankful and grateful, right? So all those things are, everything is proven to be good for the nervous system, to regulate it. If you want to make a test, you can say I love many times, and then say this like for 30 seconds, and you can try hate for 30 seconds, and you will feel different, because the words have an intention, and that has the way you use it, the way you speak, even the music that you hear. If you are listening to songs of hatred or that they contain aggressive language, you will have a different impact. That's why also we like certain music for different moods, right? So everything is explained there. And then the repetition usually goes in 60 beats per minute, because it's trying to get a synchronicity with the heart rate of a baby, that it's relaxed.
That is interesting.
Oh my God.
So that's why there are very slow songs, repeatedly. People can memorize. It's important that also you sing it in your own native language, because it's easier for you to relax on your native language, of course. Right. The others, it may be difficult. And the other thing would be that in cats, the normal rate of relaxed normal heart rate, it's double. It's never going to be 60. Of course, if you use 60, the cat is going to relax, but it gives you a spectrum of music you can use, because their heart rate in relaxed heart rate, it's over 120, 150. It can be much higher. So you can use happier songs.
That's cool. I do love though that, I mean, I think that's, us as a community, I think that's something that like every cat parent loves so much. I mean, pet parent really in general, right?
Yeah.
But is that you don't get any judgment from your animal. You can sing all day to them. And even if you're singing to your family or your friends, they might be like, like stick with your day job or, like that. Right. But our cats love anything that's coming from the heart. So you don't have to sing at a certain, a perfect pitch, or you don't have to, it doesn't have to sound good to a human. It still sounds wonderful to your cats because they're hearing your energy. They're not hearing your just your voice.
It's the intention. It's the intention. It's that weight of every word that you're saying, like you mean it, like you're feeling it. You can even hum it if you're overthinking, because usually if the cat is not reacting, it's because you're overthinking. I've seen people trying to sing, and they are thinking the note they have to sing, right? And no, you just have to feel it, make it, and again, the commercial singing doesn't mean is the best singing.
Right.
So somebody can have a very commercial voice, and some people will have beautiful voice and it's not commercial. So, other people will say you don't sing and so you're not good singing. That's not true. Your voice is unique. And if you work it with your cat that has no judgment at all, you can improve communication with other people later on.
Yeah.
Without even noticing.
That's beautiful. I love it.
So a question then, as far as implementing this, like I love the clinical application that you're talking about as far as in high stress situations. But earlier you were talking too about using sound therapy on a regular basis. So is this something that we should intentionally try to make a part of every day? Is this something that we can use?
I think all of us have made up songs for our cats, right? I mean, we do, right? We usually make a song around their name, and we, sing some cheesy little song to them. But maybe if we do it readily and do it intentionally with, good energy versus like Mr. Beatles. Right? I mean, we used to have a little song that we sang to Mr. Biddles, so that we just made up, but we both sang it. But if we did this on a regular basis with our cats, that's what you're saying, is that it works better if you're doing it intentionally and often, consistently.
That it'll help.
I can give you some tips. For example, as we were talking about transition, there's especially. Let's say if you have a cat that likes certain meats, but they don't like others, you know that when we are serving the food, we are worried already, and we are thinking he's not going to eat it, he's not. So you start to panicking before you just set the plate wherever it is. You're already panicking. So one way, and that makes the cat feel unsafe, because suddenly you're just putting the food, and you are like, I don't know if you're gonna like it. So
on your energy, they pick up on your energy.
They take it, of course they do. It's like you're trying to give your the medication, and the cat is already hidden, and he knows that because you've been thinking about it all day, and you've been showing that energetically, right?
Yes.
So what I found out is that the cat needs to feel safe in order to feel good about change. That's why I don't like the word neophobic, because neophobic, it's not actually true. The cats actually like change. The thing is that how you pose that change is that environment that is chaotic, and it doesn't have any boundaries, any limits or anything. So of course, I am going to be neophobic if that's the case, right? but if you have a routine, if you create some safety for a cat. So some cats need to eat in a box, and some other cats will eat next to the other one. So you have to understand that safety. And how can voice make it happen is that can be a point. You can be a point of safety. And there is another example for that. When sometimes you pet your cat, and then after that he will eat. I don't know if you ever seen this.
It's affection eaters. Yeah.
Yeah, we call them affection eaters.
Because food is emotional. So if you create with voice, with singing, with music, with whatever, anything, you create a routine that is not always petting your cat just before they are going to eat. And you create other things like saying a word or singing something or humming when you're serving the food, or, just giving the intention of this food is great for you. It will have an impact. Of course, not the first day, maybe if it's a very picky cat, but especially those affectionate eaters are looking for food that nurtures their soul, their emotional part of things. It's not just what you put it on the plate.
Right.
So that's one practical way of using it. But then you can use it all the time. Instead of trying to, for example, you have a sick cat and you need to give medication, or you need to handle them, and you need to trim their nails, whatever you have to do. I always tell people that if you explain that to the cat, even with this grounded voice, the cat is going to perceive that you are, I am doing this. This has to be done. And you can say whatever you want. You can say, because my furniture needs some love. I need this to be done. And the content is not important. It's the intention,
right,
of what you're saying. Okay. Right. And it can make it really easy. And people that don't sleep well, I sometimes, I know my cats I want to sleep 10 more minutes, or I want to do something. My cats don't wake up. I'll just say, come on, guys, just a few more minutes. Thank you. You're great. Let's do it. I know we can do it. And they never nag me to wake up, or start going around and meowing, asking or demanding for food, because I'm constantly talking to them. And even if I don't know what to do, let's say you're trying to do something I like and you don't know if you're doing it right, you can tell your cat, I don't know what I'm doing. And just feel it. The important thing is that you feel it, and you will see that the cat is easier to handle, easier to give medication, everything. That's the power of the voice.
I love that. And I 100% believe that. I know, like in our presentation, we talk about the importance of our energy while we're preparing the food, right? And talking about like when you are feeding a good species appropriate raw diet. And for those of you guys that are raw feeders, probably you feel the same. Like you're preparing the food is a little bit more time consuming, but you put whatever energy you put into that food while you are preparing it, or even just putting it on the plates, right? Like that is going to affect how your cats take it as well. And so I would say, maybe we'll put that in the presentation that maybe we sing to maybe we sing or we hum a happy tunes while we're preparing the food to help our cats better eat the foods that we
and to better ground our own energy,
right?
Because we're doing something new.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's
awesome.
And it's not gonna be just for you. It's not gonna be just for your cat. It's not gonna be for you. This is going to help you be grounded more often, be present more often, because we talk about presence, like, yeah, you need to be present, but most of the time we're in our minds thinking, what we have to do next. So if you practice this, then you'll be more present without even noticing. And you'll be able to make better decisions at the vet if you just take a moment to think about it. And you're going to speak with a voice that has more intention instead of yelling like this, and
right.
And it has so many effects. So that's what I want to keep working on, because it's a way for us to become better cat guardians, and this also can be used in dogs as well, of course, but
Right.
I love cats. they can use the lullabies for them. And this is the teacher, the second teacher.
Oh my
What's his
goodness.
name?
Nilo, like the river in Spanish, like the River Nile.
Oh,
Yeah.
Beautiful boy.
it's a
Yes.
beautiful. Right?
13 years is going to be in January.
Oh my goodness.
But he's been the teacher of everything. He's really happy in Mallorca because there's less noise, environmental noise. So that's another thing. If you live in a busy city or you have a noisy environment, you will benefit by using, especially bioacoustics for that, connecting with nature sounds. Or if you have insomnia or anything that doesn't allow you to sleep, many people will complain about, my cat doesn't allow me to sleep. The thing is that you have a problem sleeping first, because the cat is bothering you because you are semi-awake.
Right.
So you can use bioacoustics to relax, to get a good night's sleep. And if you look at her page, you have for immune system, you have for chronic illnesses. I've tried one time, and this was really amazing. She has like the sound of different fires. She usually goes with blessed fire from a place in a very weird place in one night. She has meditations on the 11th of November of 2011. So, dates like that, or she has that. Yeah. There is an energy content in all her sounds. And I used one time the fire, one of the fires, and I felt warm just by listening to the fire. I felt warm, like I had like heat around me, and I didn't.
That would be good for all of us. And if you think about that, if bioenergetics work with cats like that, for the cats that are, in the that are outside, it's winter now, things are getting really cold. Like, could we play some some sound? And what's the website to find for
it's
her?
a sound and life. I'm trying to help her get everything in English as well, but she has it in Spanish. But if you contact me, I can guide you on which ones, because for example, for kidneys or for liver issues, that fire, that keeping the warmth of the body when it's needed, it can be really helpful. So
wow. That's awesome. That's awesome. All right. We are like past time. I know,
we're really past time. But quickly, could you just kind of share what you envision? Like sound therapy is something that's kind of, like you said, it's very old, but what do you envision for like the future of sound therapy? Its implementation, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Not parents, but.
I am working on something that I want to create a membership where we study all this and we share as a community, especially women, to discuss all what our voices, the cultural things that we have to erase from our ancestors, and being able to communicate and be better. Because I think if you start with your cat, then you'll be better at life in general with communication, maybe communicating with your vet. So the extent of how far it can go, it can improve everyone's life, and it can improve the way. I would love to say that in every clinic, but this is going to be it's going to be from the pet parents. We have to push it ourselves, and I don't think any. We know that classical music, reduces the amount of anesthesia. Nobody does it anyway. Right. So we still need to implement this in a clinic would be very difficult. But if we get the word across and we start doing all these things, we can provide health to our pets. And it would be another way of doing. If you combine, for example, this with self-selection, you will have a first aid kit for your animals. You'll understand them better. And there's still a lot of research to be done, but it is said that it can. I don't know if you heard that now. There is this thing the way where you get in touch. If you just simply get in touch, if somebody's sick and you hug them while being naked, so the skin to skin, it gets connected, the other person instantly feels better.
Yeah.
So imagine if sound, if getting closer, getting in community, getting, all these things can heal. We don't know the extent of how far we can go.
Yeah.
But it's
and don't limit your manifestation, because I do believe that it can one day soon be in clinics as well.
I hope so. I would love to see it. The thing is that we need to erase the way healthcare it's going. It has more economical interest than healing. So we need to shift that first.
But you're right. That starts with us, the pet parents, right? Like that's where it starts, and then once our demand becomes that, I mean, you look at the dog food industry, right? The demand is for dog parents is changing the way that the pet food industry is creating their foods, right? So and so the more that we it starts with us. It always starts with us.
Normalize this.
But it will absolutely be in clinics one day. Yep.
I hope so. I really hope so. And I hope we start changing the way clinics are and be more integrative and accepting that we don't know everything. And you can have protocols. I don't think we're ever going to find out how far our brain can go. Because I already think that what Joe Dispenza, for example, is doing is incredible, and the extent of his work is incredible. So, and I don't think that's the limit. So imagine, I have no idea where we can get, but every single time I'm fascinated by cases that you don't understand. There's no clinical explanation.
Right.
And you just simply played a tune, or simply or you got connected with nature suddenly, right? And that's what I want to promote. I want to promote self-selection, because I believe the wisdom of animals and actually can help us reconnect with what's good for us.
Yes. Yep. It's
Oh my
true.
God.
It's true. Wow. Dr. Amaya, you're amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us. And thank you guys so much for joining us. The information is just like
down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, we could keep going for hours. And so we have to have you back. We have to have you back in our closet again.
Link for the lullabies, and I love that you say lullabies.
I know, lullabies.
Lullabies. Yeah, lullabies for cats. Follow me. I will come with this. So just keep my social follow for cats. I will post things there. And if you're interested in singing or learning on how to, properly use your diaphragm, that is going to be very soon on my community as well.
Yay! Oh, that's exciting. Yeah,
I will invite you someday. So we get.
we would be honored. Oh, awesome! All right, thank you guys so much. Yeah, thank you for staying up so late with us, and and we will.
I love it.
We will see you all very soon.
Yes.
Good night, guys.
Bye.